Hey, Brendan, welcome to the SABM podcast.
Hey Scott, thanks so much for having me. I really appreciate it.
All right, man. So you're the co-founder and CFO of a pretty cool company called Paintru, and I still have to figure out like what picture I want to send you guys, so I can get it, turned into a painting on my wall. So, but really cool concept. I think a lot of people will enjoy learning about your company today, and then also kind of what led you to start the company. So maybe why don't we start there? So what is Paintru and why did you guys start it?
So Paintru is a custom artwork company. We have two different lines of business. Our primary line of business is our direct to consumer line. So as you mentioned, you're thinking about a photo that you want to have turned into a painting. That's what we do all day, every day. Is we work with our clients and customers to elevate their memories by turning them into hand painted artwork. We paint for a myriad of different occasions, whether it's for wedding gifts, whether it's to commemorate a great trip that you took. Those are my favorite paintings, are taking a travel photo that has some beautiful colors of a sunset that was taken on a trip that was really meaningful for you and a partner or a friend, turning that into a hand-painted piece of artwork. Our artists can match any style that you like. So oftentimes with those travel photos, we'll have them painted in an impressionist style. They turn out beautifully. They go in any room. We absolutely love doing it. We paint pet portraits, we paint professional portraits, we paint for military retirement portraits, for hail and farewells, for anyone that's still in the service who's looking for a great gift as a commanding officer or a notable leader in your unit departs. We've painted for any occasion that you can imagine. And if we haven't, we're happy to work through the details of it with you. All you have to do is reach out directly on our website, paintru.com. Our other line of business is we do commercial art sales for real estate developers. We have a realtor program. So if you're a realtor looking at a perfect closing gift, Paintru can make that happen for you, hand painting the selling house or providing the first piece of artwork for a buyer, a home buyer. If you have a restaurant and you're trying to set a perfect ambiance for your clients, we have interior designers on staff who can help you select the right artwork that will set the ambiance that you want for your clients. It's been an absolute ton of fun. The business was started in 2019 by my co-founder, JD Kameen, who is also a Naval Academy graduate from the class of 2015. He was looking for a beautiful anniversary gift for his wife, Liza. He had this incredible photo that really, it was a beautiful photo from their wedding day of Liza. And to him, it commemorated what their relationship meant to him. But a framed photo just felt so cheap. So he had it painted by an artist that he knew in Seoul, South Korea, who painted these beautiful watercolor pieces. And Liza wept when she opened it. It was absolutely the perfect paper anniversary gift. And he thought, isn't this cool? Wouldn't people love to do this and give these incredibly meaningful gifts to people? So that's how the business was launched. We're just under 2 years old and continuing to grow it out in a bunch of different directions.
And I was looking on your about page at all your team members, and they're all I think all Navy grads. So what's it like? I love that, man. I love it. I just had a call yesterday with someone who just graduated from Wharton Business School, and like I don't know, within like the first week of business school, he met a West Point grad, and like a month later, like they started working on a business concept together, and now they've graduated and they're business partners. And I think that's so cool. So what's it like, for you being in business with other Academy graduates?
That's awesome. You love to hear those kind of stories. And I'm also a Wharton grad, so I think I actually know who you're talking about. We'll play the name game after the interview. But yeah, it's fantastic. I mean, the values that people hold when they go into the service academies, when they graduate, as they complete their military careers, are exactly the types of values and character traits that you want in a business partner. They are trustworthy, they are hardworking, they're diligent, they're focused on execution. And then the most important quality is that they are just fantastic teammates. Ultimately, for me, I had another startup which I was unable to get off the ground while I was in business school. And one of the things that really set Paintru apart as I was thinking about my next move is the fact that I know the founders. I've known some of them for over 20 years, actually. We grew up together, JD Kameen and Andrew Mighty. I know that they're incredibly high caliber individuals, and they are teammates. They're team sport guys. They were Marines. At the Academy, they were just all about, putting the mission and their teammates first. And that is so critical to growing a business. You need people who are going to invest in the team. So I think they bring a ton of talent to the table.
That's great. That's really cool. And I think anytime that you can partner with other grads, and it sounds like you've known these guys for, some of them for a long time. So, going into business together and bringing this cool service to life is really, really exciting. Walk us through, I'm kind of curious, and it looks like maybe you kind of made a pivot at some point. And we actually, on our 10X Vets call last week, the name Goldman Sachs came up. And why that came up was we were kind of talking about, maybe doing something prestigious, because the academies are relatively, pretty prestigious, and, companies like Goldman Sachs are prestigious. Starting a business sometimes isn't prestigious, right? You're like, we're selling paintings, or we're selling like t-shirts, and so it's kind of, you got to take an ego check a little bit sometimes, when you're getting started with, and I'm just kind of curious your thoughts on that. Because you went to Wharton, another prestigious place, right? Like one of the top business schools in the country, spent some time at Goldman Sachs, and now we're selling paintings. So I'm kind of curious just to hear from you, like, how that, I guess what your decision-making process kind of looked like, as you started this business with your Naval Academy buddies.
Yeah, so it's a really great question. And I have had this conversation a number of times with veterans who are transitioning. So I'm really glad that you brought it up. So as Scott mentioned, I went to Wharton for an MBA, spent some time doing investment banking at Goldman. And I think when I departed the military, I was really focused on finding a career that would pay me a lot of money, to be frank. Didn't necessarily come from a background that had a ton of access to money. And that, I thought, was something that would bring me happiness, being able to take care of friends and family when they needed it and have that financial security. Ultimately, during my first year of business school, I actually lost my father, which was a very traumatic event. And it really shaped a lot of how I perceive and view the world. Over the course of the subsequent year, my thought process changed pretty dramatically from being able to provide that financial stability for family to how am I going to spend the very limited amount of time that I have on this planet? And this is maybe a little bit heavy, so I apologize for dipping my toes into this area. But if I live as long as my father, I have another 34 years on this planet, which is not enough time to do all of the things that I want to do. And I came into business school thinking to myself, people who go into entrepreneurship must be fools. I mean, there's just so much luck and timing. How can you possibly put your entire life into, just leaving it to fate and to luck? And what I came to realize over the course of my business school education and a lot of personal development that occurred throughout the transition was that the one resource that you can never replenish and that you just do not have enough of is time. And now as an entrepreneur, I spend all of my time doing things that are incredibly interesting, that are growing our business with people that I care about and love. Selling paintings to people on the internet is not something I ever thought in a million years that I would be doing with my life and my time and my career. And nothing gives me more energy and passion and fires me up more than doing so. I absolutely love it. Selfishly, what we do is we preserve people's favorite memories. So all day, every day, I get to see these incredibly important and meaningful moments in people's lives and have the opportunity to participate in transforming those into this really meaningful piece of art. So I spend all day, every day doing something that I'm incredibly passionate about with people who I am incredibly passionate about. And it has been the single best decision that I have ever made. Now, I think that there is value to going to places that are brand name. I do think it can be helpful to you early in your career. With that being said, as I evaluated my own personal career, as you mentioned, I was a Naval Academy grad, I was a Marine infantry officer, I was a Goldman guy for a little bit, I was a Wharton MBA, and it just kind of came to the point of like, how long am I going to delay gratification? And do I really not how could I possibly be unwilling to bet on myself? I think I'm hardworking, and I think I'm talented and capable. And if I am not willing to bet on myself, who is? So, ultimately, this was a multi-year process of coming to this decision of I'm going to launch my own business. It was terrifying, to be frank. It still is a lot of the times. But I have a roof over my head. I have enough food on my plate. I get to wake up every single day, and I just fire out of bed like I'm shot out of a cannon. So I couldn't be happier with the decision. It's fantastic. I recommend it to anyone.
All right. And thank you for sharing that story. That's not a question that, we talked about before we hit record, and, it was just kind of something that came to mind. And, just looking at your LinkedIn profile, I'm always curious when you see two things that are like almost completely opposite, what you're doing now and maybe what you did in, before you're doing what you're doing now. And it's always kind of interesting to hear those stories. And something you brought up, shooting out of bed, like there's no limits anymore. Like there's no, like I remember when I had my day job, for a number of years, like I would check out, man. Like I would check out at like 5 or 6 o'clock and I was done. I was like capped out, and now it's like you get so much energy, like coming up with new ideas. It's like when you're working with, creative business partners, it's just, you've got so much energy. You almost have to like tame it back a little bit. It's like,
Right.
oh, it's like, I've got an idea, but it's like 10 o'clock at night. Should I text? but like your partners don't care. They're like, oh my God, I just got like, this is a great idea. And you're kind of going back and forth at like different hours of the night or early in the morning.
Can I tell you a quick story, Scott?
Yeah, please.
I've got a funny story for you. So my co-founder, JD Kameen, recently had a baby. His baby's name is Cotter. He's adorable. He's such a cute little kid. His wife, Liza, was one of the original co-founders of Paintru. She was our chief marketing officer for the first year until we were able to hire someone full-time. And the night that Cotter was born, I was on a call with JD to congratulate him on this meaningful, moment in his life, the birth of his firstborn son. And he was just overcome with emotion about it. And he said to me, this is one of the most meaningful events of my life. And also, did you see that painting we sold 20 minutes ago? He's like, that was a pretty sweet sale, wasn't it? So yeah, that's what you're looking for in a teammate and a partner, is someone who's just going to be fired up about that Shopify notification of selling a painting. So that's what entrepreneurship provides to you, is you own it. This is an asset that you own. You'll never be as fired up about making money for someone else as you are about doing it for yourself and about growing this thing that becomes your passion. You care about it and love it like a child. And it takes time and effort and labor. And the more effort that you put into it and the more time, the more you get out of it. So yeah, I thought that was a funny story, is the night of his firstborn son, he's still just fired up about selling paintings.
That's right. And I remember, you hear, about this like work-life balance, right? And it's like almost the way that people teach you, from the HR department about work-life balance or whatever, it's like, work is separated from life in a lot of regards, and from what's taught. But with that what you just described from was kind of an example of where it's combined. Like work is life and life
Right.
is work. And so I think, certainly, I think if you're doing what you love doing and, you're doing what you do best during the day and you've got a team around you to support you, like, I don't see why, if you have 4 or 5 real focus hours a day, like why you need to spend any more time than that, which frees you up a lot of times to spend a lot of time with your family. But at the end of the day, it's like the work and life like shouldn't, be separate. I think that they can be combined when you're doing something that you love that supports your family. But it's something where, there are two things I think that aren't necessarily separate.
Absolutely. It's an interesting point that you make about work-life balance for a few reasons. First, culturally in the United States, if you ask someone, oh, what do you do? They come back and tell you about what they do for work. And if you ask someone elsewhere in the world, what do you do? They'll say, oh, I like to surf and I ski and I like to travel. And no, what do you do for work? It's just not thought of the same way. You know, one of the reasons why I did not accept my full-time offer at Goldman was that I wanted to, it was time, right? It was, this is this limited resource I have to take advantage of. And, you know, ironically, now I do a startup that I spend countless hours on every week. But I think that the key point of differentiation is that you spend your time and you budget your time exactly according to your own priorities. So you have the autonomy over your time to say, this is time that I'm setting aside to pour into my business and put my time and effort and skills into the business. And, you know, on this Friday night, I'm not doing it. I'm going to spend time with family. I'm going to go, you know, to check out that new, you know, museum that I wanted to see. I'm going to do the things that are critical to me being happy and a fulfilled human being. And no one else can dictate my time because I work for myself. So, you know, I think it all comes down to setting strategic priorities for your life. I had a mentor who recently was talking about business and the importance of prioritization, and there can really only be one priority. And I think that in your life, holistically, there can really only be sort of two priorities at a time. So oftentimes the first one really is work. And if you're going to be spending, you know, however many hours a week doing something, you better be passionate about it, and you better be, you know, really fired up to do it because it's a lot of your time. I think you can do one other thing at a time, like really well. And for most people, that's family. Being an entrepreneur gives you the opportunity to budget in accordance with your priorities, and to carve out time when you need it. So yeah, I love that aspect of it.
All right. So let's talk a little bit about Paintru and kind of like the blocking and tackling of, hey, somebody's interested, like they want to place an order. Like, how does the process work? You know, so I got this picture, you know, I really want to turn this into a painting. What would somebody do next in order to place, you know, how does it work?
Sure. Yeah. So if you're looking to have a photo turned into a painting, that's when you would go to paintru.com. You would navigate over to our checkout page, and there's just a handful of different options that you would select. You select a size, you select a medium, whether it's oil or watercolor. We generally recommend oil for most paintings, especially if you're looking for a photorealistic painting, or if the details are really important, if it's portraiture, so, you know, a photo of people. We generally recommend oil. Watercolor, a little bit more of an artistic take. You can select a framing option and just any artist instructions. So please don't paint the stop sign in the background, or can you fix the glare, or, you know, reduce my wrinkles. We've got freeform text space for that, and then you hit submit. If you have any questions along the way, we have a concierge service. So we provide a white glove service. We're happy to help you select photos, to think through what photo would make a great painting, what size, what medium. If you have you're looking for a more artistic take on something, we know exactly which of our artists is great at what. We are happy to work with you every step of the way to figure out those options. So it's incredibly simple. Come to paintru.com. You submit your order, and in about 10 to 14 days, you'll get the first draft of the painting. So we handle all the back and forth with the artist. You'll get an email that is a photo of your painting while the paint is still wet. So you have an opportunity to revise the artwork as well. So you can say, oh, can you please make the dimples on grandma's cheeks a little bit deeper? That's one of her signature things. Or, hey, this stray hair over here, it doesn't need to be there. It can go away. We will then work with your artist to reflect those comments, you know, make the painting absolutely perfect. Once it is perfect, we dry it, we ship it, we take care of framing, and ultimately you just look like a hero as you give literally the most meaningful gift anyone's ever received. So it's an incredibly fun process to be a part of.
I was trying to think if there was like an Army Navy joke in here somewhere, like where you could send somebody from Army, you know, some sort of, but I don't know. We'll leave that up to the listeners. Maybe there's an Army Navy painting joke that you could send one of your rival buddies.
We do love when people get creative with these ideas. We had a squadron of Navy pilots who wanted to give their CO a really meaningful gift, and they painted him as like Washington crossing the Delaware. It was so funny. And of course, a bunch of pilots would come up with this. But it came out really well, and the CO was blown away. It hangs on his office wall at his next command. So he absolutely loves it. But we love those creative ideas. So send them our way, and we'll work to make it happen.
All right. So looking out into the future, say, you know, for the remainder of this year and maybe just over the next couple of years, what are some of your short-term goals at Paintru, and maybe what's your long-term vision, over the next 5 to 10 years? What would you guys like to achieve?
It's a great question, Scott. For us, we view the business through those two different lines that I talked about. Direct to consumer, we want to be your gift of choice for any meaningful occasion. So if you have a wedding coming up, we hope that you think of Paintru. If grandma is turning 80 years old and you want something to celebrate her legacy, we hope that you'll think about Paintru. Any occasion in your life that you are looking for a meaningful gift for someone, that's what we want to be for you. More holistically, what we would love is for people to view us as an extension of Instagram. So you have all these incredible photos on your Instagram that are really meaningful to you and tell the story of various relationships in your life. The art that goes on your wall tells a story and sets the ambiance for that space. So, if a picture is worth 1,000 words, a painting tells the whole story. So what we hope that people will do is to bring those memories into their lives in this incredibly high quality way. And it doesn't just have to be a photorealistic thing. One of my favorite things I mentioned that we do is those travel landscape paintings. Those are just a fun little secret that you keep to yourself of that's actually a trip that I went on. I took that photo and then it was painted. It's not a piece of stock art that I bought at Walmart or a print or something like that from art.com. This is a hand painted piece of artwork that has a little bit of gravitas and that personal touch to it. On the B2B side, I mean, we love these commercial orders. If you're a entrepreneur who is working at a restaurant, you have a restaurant that you're trying to set a decor for, you're a realtor looking for a closing gift, real estate developers, those are lines of business that we want to continue to grow out over the coming years. Ultimately, where we want to take the business is, we have big goals. We're dreamers. I mean, you got to have a certain amount of combination of strong ambition and maybe some delusional tendencies, I guess, as well to be a good entrepreneur. You really got to believe, and I believe that we can play anywhere that there is an empty wall in America. There's a lot of empty wall space and people looking for things to put on it. We have the world's largest network of artists that we work with, and we would love to do whatever empty wall you are currently looking at, whoever's listening to this podcast.
Yeah, and custom gifts. I love custom gifts. I mean, I just ordered something from Etsy for my wife for our anniversary just last week. So, and they're so meaningful, and
Exactly.
so I think it'd be so cool to. I just love the idea of custom gifts and turning these pictures that are just sometimes 99% of the time they just end up on our phones, and
That's right.
it's kind of a shame, it's like, hey, how do we turn these great memories, these great pictures into, I guess,
Part
maybe
of your life.
lasting memory artwork, right?
Right.
So I think it's a really cool service that you guys offer. So you mentioned some pretty big goals. What are your biggest challenges standing in the way of those goals that maybe we could help you with?
Well, I'm glad that you asked. I mean, running a startup is very difficult. We're in a great spot right now. We just got our last capital commitment on our pre-seed round. So we are not actively fundraising at the moment. Always interested in talking to investors because I think a lot of the times they will help to poke holes in your business and see things from a different perspective based on their experience. Would love to talk to anyone in the real estate development space about how we can sell artwork to real estate developers. We have a deal that we're working on right now with a very large real estate developer on the East Coast who is coming to Paintru to have custom artwork placed all throughout their residential spaces. Those are projects that we love to do. We have interior designers that we work with who can help do the art curation, selection, the production of the artwork, and then have it delivered to you so it's ready to rock and roll, and it's going to set the perfect ambiance for your clients and tenants. Anyone who's in a business space that has an empty wall or is thinking about design or wants to charge a premium for their product and really cares about what emotions and feelings their clients feel when they step into their space, they should reach out to us because we can do an incredible job for them. We work with people of all different kinds of budgets. And at the end of the day, our product is one that is critical for how people feel about the space that they occupy. Artwork, it does have this emotional quality to it. And a print just doesn't compare. It does not have the texture. It does not have the same feel that it's just an entirely different experience. Whereas what we offer is this multi-sensory tactile experience. And you know that someone poured their time and effort and attention into creating this hand-painted piece of art. So, that's sort of what we're looking for as far as connections from your listeners.
All right. And then, and thinking back to your Navy days and your days in the Marine Corps, what was your biggest lesson learned, through that experience that's helping you today as an entrepreneur?
Such a great question. And as I was prepping for this interview, I was thinking through this question actually specifically. So I'm really glad that you asked it. I never thought I would be an entrepreneur coming out of the military, because when I got out of the Marine Corps, I couldn't even spell the word revenue, right? I didn't know anything. And I had the benefit of being able to attend Wharton and go to Goldman and learn how to spell revenue. But I think the one lesson that has been more critical than anything that I've learned in my entire life is from the Marine Corps is just how to figure it out, right? There's the saying, message to Garcia, which you hate to hear in entry-level training. It just means figure it out yourself. And nothing that I ever did in the Marine Corps did someone say, oh, this is how you do that. I don't think there was a single thing. It was always, hey, we need to plan this training and I have general idea of what it needs to look like, but you need to figure it out, right? And that is all you do all day, every day as an entrepreneur. Is entrepreneurship is the pursuit of opportunity with incredibly limited resources. So you're out here hustling. You're figuring out how to sell paintings to people on the internet, right? And being able to reflect back on that experience of being in the Marine Corps and having to just figure it out in stride is exactly what you do every day as an entrepreneur. So I actually think veterans are really well suited to this path. Hopefully that's helpful.
Yeah, and you mentioned that you'd never thought you would be an entrepreneur, but I'd like for you to maybe just share a little bit about when that the moment when you decided you wanted to be an entrepreneur.
Sure. I was walking to campus at Wharton, and there's a bridge that you cross on Walnut Street to get over the Schuylkill River in Philadelphia. And I literally stopped in my tracks. It was like someone had hit me with a 10-pound sack of bricks. I haven't been hit this hard since, I was at the infantry officers course, fighting one of my bigger classmates. And I realized that this was as happy as I had ever been in my entire life. And it had absolutely nothing to do with how much money I was making, which was zero, or how much money I was spending, even as a proxy for making money, right? But rather the fact that I have complete autonomy over my time and that I spend all day doing exactly what I want to do. And studying the things that I find interesting and learning new skills that I find interesting. And that was sort of the first realization. And then the second realization occurred, as I was thinking about my return offer to Goldman. And obviously, the cash comp was fantastic. The benefits are great. It's a prestigious firm. And I'd have to be an idiot to turn this down. And ultimately, I realized that what I wanted to do was place a bet on myself. I'm young enough. I believe that I can figure it out. I've had enough mentors along the way who have told me that they believe in me as well, which is the most meaningful thing to me, something that I'm incredibly grateful for. And ultimately, if I'm not willing to take a shot on myself, what do I believe in, right? What do I believe in if not that I can figure this out and I can make a meaningful strides in this direction? And ultimately, it comes back to what are your priorities? And for me, my priorities are how I budget my time is the single most important decision that I make every single day. And the idea of going to work somewhere else or doing literally anything else, I couldn't imagine doing anything else right now, because it's the timepiece. My time is too valuable to me. There's really not a number that is enough to pay me to be able to give you my time. I'm sure there is, but yeah, unless it's selling paintings on the internet, I just couldn't imagine, someone being able to pay me for my time for what I value it for.
Absolutely. Well, I appreciate you sharing that with us, and and congrats on all of the success you've had so far, and the achievements that you've had, and and just getting this business off the ground and rolling and creating a really cool product service, that I think really touches a lot of people. It's just such a cool gift that you're allowing people to give. So for those interested in reaching out and connecting, what's the best way for folks to get a hold of you and learn more about Paintru?
Sure. People are welcome to just email me directly. You can email me at Brendan, BRENDAN .Aronson, ARONSON at paintru.com. I read every single email that I get. I'll respond to you as quickly as I'm able to. If you're a business owner with empty wall space, if you are any of the myriad of people that I've mentioned along the way, please reach out. If you're a transitioning veteran and you just need help, or you need help thinking about your career or what opportunities are in front of you or how to spend your time, or anything that I've said has resonated, reach out. I love talking to people about the transition, about what they can do with their careers and their lives. There's not a limited set of options for you. So it's very difficult to figure out what you want to do with your life and career. And if I can be helpful in any way, I would love to do so. So I do hope that people will reach out and take me up on that offer.
All right, Brendan. Well, thanks for being a guest on today's podcast, and we'll put a link to your LinkedIn profile also in the show notes for people to connect with you there, and also we'll include a link to your website, Paintru. So, congrats on all of your success to date, and we wish you continued success in the future.
Thanks, and likewise, Scott. A big fan of what you've built, and yeah, I really appreciate the opportunity to talk to your audience and to be able to talk to you about, because what you do for the veteran community is fantastic. You provide an incredible resource. So thank you for your time.